Welcome to the Echo Backyard Farm. So you've noticed we cleared up some of our beds where we planted before our tomatoes and our bean crops. Uh, if you still remember, we had one episode where we featured a problem or problems that we were having with our jalapenos, our tomatoes, and our bean crops. So we said in that video that we were going to do our research to find out what's causing the problems on our crops. So we found out that there were two viruses that were attacking our crops. The first virus can be seen in the tomatoes and the jalapenos. It's called the tomato yellow leaf curl virus. So the manifestation of that kind of virus depends on the kind of crop that you have. On the tomato, what happens is the leaves turn yellow and start to curl up, and they seem not to prosper anymore. On the jalapenos, the new leaves that grew from the top of the plant were starting to become small and have indentations and curling up as well. So those are two manifestations of one virus. But on the bean crops, we have the mosaic virus. The manifestation of the mosaic virus on the bean crops is as the plant grows, it develops smaller and smaller and smaller leaves that become so leafy, become so meaty like the leaves of the oregano herb. So that's the problem. So we uprooted or we cleared up all those crops like the bean crops and the tomatoes because we wanted to just stop the problem first and start anew. But on the jalapenos are starting to pick up and they have new leaves that are good because we think jalapenos have a kind of chemical in their system that helps them recuperate from that kind of thing because in ecological farming we have different kinds of organic sprays that would help us to defeat viruses and pests. One of them is the chili spray made out of hot peppers that they squash and put in water and spray. So we think that the reason why the jalapenos are bouncing back is because they have this kind of chemical composition in their build that helps them defeat the virus. So these viruses are transmitted actually by things or creatures or insects that we call vectors. Vectors are in ecological farming. Vectors are some of the non-beneficial insects that destroy our plants, like thrips, like fruit flies, like cucumber beetles, and the like. So what happens is they go on the plants that are affected, eat the leaves, then they transfer again to other crops that are good, and they transfer with them they transfer along with them the virus. It's like, for example, the sickness called dengue. Dengue, let's say I have dengue, and a mosquito bites me, sucks my blood, and transmits it to another person. The mosquito is called a vector. So it's the same thing as in ecological farming. The spreading of disease and different viruses is because of vectors. So we opted to clear up our beds and deal with the main problem, which is the vectors. So we will not spread anymore these viruses. So we're going to show you the kind of preventive measures that we have to defeat these vectors. So this is one of our jalapeno plants. You can see here one kind of manifestation of the tomato yellow leaf curl virus. So you can see here leaves are starting to become smaller and curl up. But if you can see here, after spraying the plants with milk, the solution that I've shown you in the past episode, they are starting to grow new leaves that are good. See, so they're bouncing back. And they have a lot of fruits. And this one is developing flowers. more and more flowers. So if you see that the plants look like they're went under a sandstorm because of the dirt on the leaves, that's because of the milk solution that I sprayed them. The milk stuck on it and dried up, so it created a bit of dirt on it. But as you see, we are having a lot more fruits on our crops. So we did not clear up the jalapenos because it's quite obvious that the plants are bouncing back from that virus. So we are now here in the place where we planted our Baguio beans. Also the same place that I've shown you in the last episode where I sprayed the milk solution. So we did not uproot these plants because they're already having fruits. See? They're bouncing back from the virus that attacked it. So I'm going to show you the kind of manifestation the mosaic virus had on our bean crops. So look at this leaf. The mosaic virus, you can see the manifestation on the leaves where you have like, yeah, the mosaic painting, like a compilation of different figures. Yeah, you know what I mean. So this is the kind of manifestation the mosaic virus had on our bean crops. Together along with that is, if you see this branch, it becomes like meaty, like oregano, and they just snap off. They become so crunchy. But regardless of that, after spraying the milk solution, they are developing new leaves that seem not to have the virus on them. So we did not uproot it yet because we saw that they are having a lot of fruits. So we just left them here and see what happens. So as long as we can observe them, we can know more about the problem. So we were discussing about vectors. Vectors are the non-beneficial insects that spread viruses to our other crops. So we cleared up some of our beds where we had our crops infested with those viruses, the two kinds of viruses, the tomato yellow leaf curl virus and the mosaic virus. So we cleared the plots up and we want to take care of the main problem first, to take precaution or preventive measures against these vectors. One preventive measure would be having, actually there are two kinds or colors that these vectors are attracted to. Bright colors like this bright blue container. So we put water and soap in it. It would attract cucumber beetles, it would attract fruit flies and the like. So what would happen to them would be is they get so mesmerized with the color and they go closer and closer and closer, then fall into the water and drown. The same thing as when you have these bug zappers, the contraption with like the ultraviolet light that attracts insects. They get mesmerized and they come closer and closer, then they get electrocuted and burn and they die. So this is one of the preventive measures of taking care of these vectors. The other one would be this special kind of mat. As you can see here, we already have vectors. These are fruit flies. So they get so attracted to the yellow color, but the pad is covered with sticky glue. So they are now stuck. So you can see here the problem. These are vectors. These are the insects that spread the disease among our crops.
These yellow pads, they're also covered with pheromone, which also attracts the fruit fly. You see, that's why they're even setting sometimes at the back of the paper, which is white and not yellow, because they're attracted by the pheromone, the sex pheromone of fruit flies. Hi. Because of all the problems we have had with all these viruses, we're not going to plant first yung mga fruit crops like tomatoes or peppers or beans, but we will first concentrate on lettuce and on cabbage crops, which always do well here in our farm. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm planting some lettuce here.
Now the lettuce seedlings are transplanted.